everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Liz. Come on in. It's a little different scenery tonight. Let me know. Make sure you can hear me. Go ahead and share. It has been a minute, so I apologize for last week. I was out of town and had a lot of work to do, but nonetheless, we made it still through another week. But we're here tonight, and I'm super, super excited for this month's tea time because we are going to be discussing the book I published last year called The Healing Effect, or Healing for Purpose, excuse me. So let me know if you can hear me. Like I said, shout out if you are a first time viewer. Thank you for joining us for Tea Time with Liz. If you are a original Tea Time member, let me know that you are here. Say hi to your girl. So before we get started, you know how we always do, we get into our announcements. So like I said, this month we are going to be discussing this book in which this sparked another surprise or idea, and that is to do book club every 3 months. So if you, hey Aunt Debbie, I'm so sorry, I got to get your book. I'm gonna get that out here tomorrow before I leave town. So I promise your book is on the way. Um, like I said, we are going to start book club. So, if you have any book ideas that you want us to discuss for a month, I'm going to, like I said, every 3 months, we are going to discuss that book. So, like I said, tonight we're going to be, or this month, we'll be discussing my book, Healing with a Purpose, or Healing for a Purpose, excuse me, and then we will see what suggestions we get. If not, I do have one in mind. So let me know tonight through messaging. I'll also do a post, see what we get for suggestions so that we can get started on that book as well. Let's see, then next month, starting August, we will be going to 2 times a month on Tea Time with Liz. So every other week, you will be able to tune in live with me as we discuss and we journey through life. Like I said, we're still on our spark kick, getting our spark back, finding who we are, reviving ourselves through this year. We are literally over halfway through the year. I don't know how you all have been feeling about 2021. Definitely better than 2020 for sure. More of us are getting out and being able to hang with family and friends and even do a little bit of traveling. So I know it's got to be a little bit better, but it's definitely been another year. So hopefully we will get into that discussion here in September. But next month is also my birthday, y'all. So I'm excited. We're going to do some fun, surprising tea times next month. So, really not a theme, just, we're going to celebrate and just, like I said, continue to get our spark back. And then, like I said, September, we'll have some great guests and different things coming on. So, if you have any ideas, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to hear about, let me know. Hit me up in the DMs, and I will be glad to hear you out. So, nothing really else than that. If you want to still get your Tea Time with Liz mugs to sponsor a young mother or a young father, single parent who we want to appreciate at the end of the year for all their hard work, let me know. I will let you. I don't have my cups by me tonight, but there's a big, large mug that is $20, and then a medium sized mug that is 10. And like I said, I do not benefit off of these. These are all going to that proceed. Thank you for all of those who have sponsored. Like I said, we are at about $250 already. So I thank you all for your support and donations. And if you just want to donate, let me know. I will send you that information as well. All right. Like I said, that is all I got here tonight. So let's get into it. So this is what the book looks like. If you can see, hopefully my ring light isn't too bright. You can buy it on Amazon. I will maybe give one out here tonight at the end of the live, but they're only $8 in the paperback. Otherwise, you can purchase them um, by Kindle. There's the ebook, and that is only $4.99. Or if you're an Amazon Prime member, I think it's free. So definitely go look and get your copy. But as we discuss here tonight, definitely dip into the comments, share your heart, and let's get into it. Like I said, so let me just talk about where this book came from, where it inspired. I have been on this healing journey for quite a bit of time, and there it just sparked in me. One day when I was listening to a message and I was praying, and God showed me about Leah. Because I always reference myself to Leah a lot in the Bible. If you don't know who Leah is a woman of the Bible who was a mother of six sons of Jacob. Um, or got credit mostly for six sons. Two of them she didn't really birth, but that's neither here or there. Sorry, Bible scholar in me. But anyway, Leah also was not really chosen. She was overlooked, but she was used to trick Jacob to marrying her because her father said, you got to marry the oldest before you could get the youngest daughter. So Leah kind of got trapped into this marriage. And then, knowing that her husband didn't really love her, she just wanted to be seen. She wanted to be loved. She wanted to, experience what it felt to be accepted, right? And so, as she, kept seeking and asking God as she was birthing these sons, God definitely had restored her and put that in her to be seen by Him. And I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter if you're seen by anybody else, in this world, as long as you are seen and heard by God. I think that matters the most. And He definitely heard her heart. I believe she named one of her sons because God heard me or God seen me. Like I said, I've always related myself to her in so many ways, and also Rachel, her sister. Sometimes beauty isn't everything. A lot of times people see what's on the outside, but they don't know the struggles you have on the inside. Because Rachel had the opposite, situation where she couldn't really birth anything, right? Or not, I shouldn't say anything. She had a hard time birthing children. And so and I could never understand as a young girl, who I thought, like I said, I had a lot of insecurities, and all my friends who I thought were so much more beautiful than I, because they were getting hit on by guys and everything else. And I was like, just to be beautiful like them would just be amazing. And so I remember asking one of my friends, like, why do you hate being beautiful? And one of them shared with me, of course, and was like, it's because that's all they see. They don't know that I'm a real person. They don't see that I have a heart and, all this other stuff. And, especially at a younger age, teenage years, your early 20s, you're not really looking for love at that time, if we're being honest. So, but as us women, we truly are, like, I think from birth and we figure out who and what we are. That is a heart's desire for us women, is to be a wife, to be a mother, and to be loved. And so when we have to go through life trying to figure that out, or even trying to be accepted by people, whether it's family, friends, or intimate relationships, it can be very hard. So nevertheless, that story triggered this book for me. because going back to Leah, her name has the word heal in it. And so, as I had mentioned in my early tea time, is that I plan to still do a non organization called Healing Leah, because there are a lot of Leahs out there who just need somebody to give them hope again, let them know that they're being seen in their hardships and their hard times. And so, but through my healing, as God was healing me, as um, the Leah I saw myself, he showed me that my healing also had an effect on my purpose. And so that is how I got the book Healing Effect. And so as I began to write it, I once again had a lot of insecurities of, I don't know if I'm good enough, if this is really what you're saying. But as trials and tribulations began to come, I realized that this is what God has called me and wanted me to do. I was frustrated because there was a moment in time where I had to put the book down and kind of focus on life for a moment. And to be honest, I was like, man, I feel like I gave up, but it was also God's ordained time because probably about 5 months later, he told me to pick it back up again. Then COVID happened, and it was the perfect timing for a book about healing to come out because of what was going on in the world. I didn't see that. I didn't know that. I was just trying to get something done and get it out, to say I completed something, but God saw fit there was purpose for it as well. And so that is how this book came about. All right. When you get into the introduction, there's a part in there in the introduction that I want to talk about a little bit here tonight. It talks about you matter. I think that is very, very important for us to understand that we matter. A lot of times we have allowed the tragedies, the situations in our lives, the circumstances that we have to face to be magnified. And we tend to fall behind. We tend to cover up and use it as a mask, and we forget that we are somebody. We are God's children, we are his sons, or we are his daughters. And that these circumstances or these things that have been magnified in front of us do not dictate who we are. You know, a lot of times people have labeled you because of certain things or certain decisions you made in your life. Like I said, we have a hard time overcoming tragedy in any shape or form. It may be a tragedy that has followed you all your life from birth, and you're just feel like that is who you're supposed to be, but that isn't you, and you matter. Like you? You have to look at yourself and say you matter, because God has created you for something. That He has given you breath in your body. He is constantly letting you live day in and day out to be able to fulfill something. Yes, every day may not be great. Every day I mean, there are probably some days you probably could have thrown to the trash and said, I don't need it today. But um, there's going to be a purpose. There's one thing that I love that Bishop Jake says, that always encourages me, is that God never leaves anything undone. And I think that also has to play a part when you matter. You have to understand the tragedies and everything else that have happened in your life. That's all going to come into play, and why it's you have to heal to be effective, because you are going to be a display of God's glory in some shape or form. You are going to be able to let somebody know that God is a healer in tragedy. God is a healer in your mindset. He is a healer in divorce. He is a healer in molestation and rape. He is a healer, being a parent of a child with disability. He is a healer of a victim of being abused. We can go on with the list. He's a healer of just even low self-esteem and depression, whatever the situation or things that, like I said, have magnified or covered you, to put you behind. no longer have to be. God is going to break you free and allow you to be effective in this world and be something in this world. But we have to start at the very root. That is one thing I definitely have learned, and I will preach till the day I die, is that you have to get to the root of the problem. You have to figure out, where did it all start? Where did the seed get planted inside of me, to understand why I don't matter, what weeds are in my way that has not allowing my seed, me, who I am, my wheat, to be seen. And so I have to know that even with these weeds, even with the circumstances and things, it does not dictate who I am. I'm still wheat. I'm still God's child. I'm still chosen by Him, because we've all made mistakes. Please let me know if you have become perfect or you are close to perfect, because then you got it. But no one is perfect, and everybody is still striving in this life to be the best they possibly can. And so we have to understand, yes, we all failed, we've all made mistakes, but you are still chosen, because, like I said, God will never let all those mistakes and those things that would have happened go undone. So, like I said, in this very moment, you have to understand that you matter. I reference a Bible verse in John chapter 9, verses 1 through 12, right? And if you go back and you read it in St. John's chapter 9, it talks about a blind man who was afflicted from birth. And like I said, a lot of us, sometimes we've gone through life and these tragedies and things have happened, but can you imagine having to be labeled since birth? And it wasn't really his fault. And how many of us know that, regardless of where the tragedy happened in our life, those things are not our fault. We didn't sign up and say, "Hey, come over here and hurt me. Come over here and break my heart. Come over here and, whatever the case may be." None of us signed up for that, but it just so happened to be my portion or a part of my life. But one thing he does declare, and he does say to that young man or to that blind man, is that he says, "This is for my glory." And I want you to understand, I know it's probably hard to say, "Well, how can you say that? Do you not know how broken I am? Do you not know the things people have said? Do you not see the things I had to endure? I'm out here by myself. No one hears me." And all these different scenarios. I get it, and I'm not dismissing it by no means, right? Because that is very valid and it's very true. But what we have to come to understand is that you don't have to live in what is in your now. You don't have to live in what was your past. You don't have to live in what people have said. That God has some type of glory that has to be revealed out of your life. But now is your time to change your mindset. It's got to start in your mind. I mean, even when we talk about weight loss, right? Weight loss, that you have to be able to get in the mindset to work out, to eat healthy, all that, right? If you don't, you're just going to go right back to your old habits, and that's what's going to happen, even spiritually or in your healing process. That if you don't keep in the mindset, if you don't stay around people that can keep you in a good a mind, um, thinking in a positive way, there we go, that you're going to find yourself right back and trying to dig yourself right back out of that stronghold, right back in that mindset. That's why a great Bible verse here tonight, and we're probably going to talk a lot about in Romans, is Romans 12 and reading 1 through 3. Focusing more on verse 2, is that we have to transform our mind daily. We have to transform our minds. Why? Because the way we used to think, or the way we were broken, or where we were bruised, and tragedy has happened, we cannot think that same way, because to be honest, like I said, we have magnified this situation. We have magnified the divorce. We have magnified the man or the woman who have hurt us, and given them that power. But that's not true. That's what the enemy wants you to believe. That's what the devil wants you to think, that they got the power and your life is over. But the truth is that you matter. The truth is that there's still time and there's still hope. And so I have to change my mindset to take out all this, the icky stuff, and allow myself to begin to believe and to see what God sees, because that's the most amazing thing that I love about God. Well, I love God regardless, right? But when you really think about this, is that God loves us in spite of what we think of ourselves. Because when we go back even to the beginning of the Bible, and I think I've talked about this once before, when we reference the Genesis 1 and 26, I think it is, where we are made in the image of God, right? And if I'm made in God's image, and I don't like who I am, and that doesn't necessarily have to be physical, my spirit, my heart, who I am, because no one can be you. Everybody is who they are because God created you that way. You can only be the best you, right? So when you start comparing yourself and trying to compete with other people, you're never going to get there because you can't be them. They can't be you. And so, even in our brokenness, we have to understand God still sees a beautiful you. He still sees an amazing you, a successful you, a purposeful you. And so, you have to get that in your mind to know my Father, my God, that I trust and believe with all my heart and soul and mind is everything, and that I am everything because he's everything. And so if I hate the image of who I am, then I'm saying I don't like God because it reflects him. That's like your child saying, I'm ugly. Baby, you ain't ugly if you part of me. Because I know I'm cute. So that and whatever you create, can you think of about anything that you created? Would you want your creation to sit there and to say, you know uh, they dislike this or they don't like that? You wouldn't want that, because you made it from your heart. You made it from your image, and that is what God is saying about us. He's made us from his heart, his image. He sees us, he values us, and that is why he has given us so many opportunities to come and to be a part of who he is. But sometimes brokenness, sometimes tragedies, like I said, all these things that have caused us to feel as though we are inadequate, get in our way. So we have to break the mindset and to know that we matter, we belong to God. And so that is just we're just talking about the introduction. Okay, I'm going to try to move a little bit quicker because I want to at least get through chapter 1 tonight too. I'm skimming through these. Like I said, we'll talk more, or you can read more in depth, obviously, when you get your copy. If you have questions or you have comments, I can see the comments, so let me know. I'll make sure I reference those as well. So getting into chapter 1, so that was the introduction. But going into chapter 1, it's called Why. And with the book, there's some study guide questions, and I'm going to reference a couple of those too. So of course, a lot of times we hear people say, why ask the question why? Don't ask. Some people don't understand it is okay to ask, because God wants you to ask. Because if you don't ask why, you'll never understand why. And you'll just continuously, being blindsided by the circumstance and the situation. And so once you understand why, and like I said, why would God choose you to get broken and to be hurt and all that? That doesn't sound like God. And it's not to say that God is saying, oh yeah, let's choose her to go through this, let's choose him to go through that. He's not doing that. But what he's saying is that I'm going to use those broken places and things to let people know, not only to let you know that I have your back, I am God and I can do the impossible, but that I am God, that through your life, people will maybe believe that there is truly a God. Because when you begin to tell your testimony, when you begin to talk about your life, and you're sitting there today, smile on your face, there's a glow about you, that shows the power of God, how God has kept you through so many circumstances and so many storms and so many situations, that you are a living example of God's glory. That's the scripture in Romans chapter 8, verses 18, his glory shall be revealed. That's what I think about. It's when you get through all the process and the hell, there is something to come out of, but I have to understand why, because there's purpose. There is a reasoning why. It has something, like I said, God, I mean, to be honest, God can do anything, right? If we're being very honest, God can do anything. So then why does he continuously having you live? Why is he continuously giving you a chance to breathe, eat, and sleep if he didn't have purpose for you here on this earth? So there is a purpose, even though you had to go through some storms and some rains and some circumstances and some losses and some droughts. A lot of rejections, the list, like I said, can go on, but there is a purpose coming out of that. There is a reasoning why he had you go through that. And I say this, when you begin to change your mindset to say, okay, I'm God's child and I understand, now I'm getting into my why. My why isn't because I was just chosen and I have to be broken and I'm a victim. No, my chosen purpose was that God's going to get the glory. I'm going to meet another young lady. I'm going to be a motivational speaker. I'm going to be a women's leader. I'm going to be a minister, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's just somebody you began to witness on your job. You open a business, that you could even be effective by opening a business and pouring out God's glory through that, whatever the idea is. But you've gone through something to be effective and show that effect. I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but I want to share a quote on page, if you have a book, it's on page 2. It says, when you are afflicted, please understand God actually has purpose for your affliction. In fact, he has big ideas in mind for you. And I wouldn't even say stuff like this without having biblical backup, right? And we all know Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, the thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. And you have to kind of understand that story too, to see why God was saying it. We say it very prosperously, we say it very prophetically, in which we should most definitely quote it if you need to, and speak it into your life. But understanding the story of why God had it in his word, or why Jeremiah wrote that, was because they were under captivity. They were under a hold, and that they didn't know if their nation would come out of it. They didn't know if they would be able to see another light of day of freedom. And so for God to speak that to them in their tragedy, he said that's not me. What you're experiencing, what you've been, like I said, what we've caused to be magnified, that's not me. That's not the big idea I have for you. My ideas are peaceful. My ideas have an expected end. They have good ground to it. They have good seed to it and good fruit. It don't taste bitter. And so that's how you can start to filter your mind. That's how you can start filtering even the people you're around. Is it bringing God glory in any shape or form? Is it giving me understanding of why I went through what I went through? Because a lot of times, sometimes our atmospheres can cripple us. Sometimes our atmospheres and the people we hang around can keep us in a stronghold. If I can reference, I believe it's second Corinthians, chapter 10, where it talks about strongholds. And when you look up that word, it means like it's a fortress, it's a cave. And so, can you imagine, you as a person being kept in this cave? And then the cave represented whatever that thing that we've magnified, whatever that situation or even generational curse has been magnified. And the thing is that that thing is over you, and then you have people that keep pushing you back in. You still have people saying, "Oh, whoa, it's you," or girl, that's just how it is. No, you don't have to stay there. You don't have to live in darkness. You don't have to make that your home. That is not the rest of your life. God has a big idea. He has more for you, but you have to be willing and trusting Him enough to say, "I'm coming out of my stronghold. I believe that God has given me the power to overcome my stronghold and casting down all the imaginations and the principalities and the things of this world." And that is what the true power of the Holy Ghost is. That is why He has given us the Holy Spirit, to be able to overcome the things that have tried to be magnified over Him. You will be able to see God in a whole nother light once you figure out the why. You will begin to see that it was not God punishing you. It was not God trying to put you in a stronghold and keep you there. Um, you probably will be thankful He kept you in that place and not in other places, but I know it's just not comfortable, period. But understanding God has purpose for it, once again, but understanding what that purpose is and why. And so once you figure out, okay, this is not my home, I can move, I can get out, I can be free. Okay, Lord, how do I go about that? One thing, I was talking to one of my friends this last week, and we were talking about healing and brokenness and so forth. And I said to her, I said, understand that, healing, when we talk about healing and we talk about this journey of healing, everybody's healing is not going to be the same. Some are a process, some will heal quickly, some will heal 10 years from now. And not to say that God can't do it. That is not my faith. My faith believes that God can do anything at any moment, at any time. But the thing is that just like when you think about when we go to the doctor, I may go to the doctor for a foot ache. You may go to the doctor for a foot ache. Yours may be because you were running and you twisted it, so you got a sprain. But mine is, I got some other medical condition, and now it's surfacing, and so it came through my foot. But the healing treatment is not going to be the same. Even though it may be in the same area, it's not going to be the same. So even though you may have gone through the same situations, my healing process may not be the same. So if you are one of those people that God uses to be an encourager to uplift those who are going through the healing process, understand, yes, you may have gone through it, and God did a quick work, but they may not be. So be patient with them and give them understanding of what God is really doing. Because the more you let go and you let God be the doctor and you allow God's hand to be involved, more or less, to mold you and make you back into that healthy state and that whole state, you will begin to see the process. So I just want to encourage you all so that you're not looking at other people's healing process and victories as though yours should be the same, right? Your story is going to be your story. Your testimony is going to be your testimony. The way God brings glory to your life is the way He's going to bring that glory to your life, okay? So I want you to be encouraged, and don't be discouraged, but be encouraged that your healing will go the way God wants it to go, all right? So which leads to that section. We're talking about the root of the word healing, because healing is the step into the process of being made whole. Is to become healthy again. We need to become healthy in those spiritual damaged areas. We are walking around with a spiritual disability, in a sense, that we have been broken, we have been hurt, we have been mistreated, we have been misused. Sometimes we're just plain old ignorant to the fact of a lot of things, right? And so, in order for us to become whole again, we have to go through healing. And so that is one section. And so then I go into why we talk about affect and effect. AFFECT is the verb affect. It means that you will produce an effect and change. For example, cloudy days affect my mood. Okay. But effect, EFFECT, is a noun, and it says something that is produced by an agency or cause. It is a result or a consequence. For example, hoping for the effect of good grades, I studied hard this semester. So I want you to understand there's two effects. One effect has to happen, of course, but there's another effect that's going to take place. And the EFFCT is the one that God is doing in us, because why? Something is being produced in you. Something is coming great coming out of you. And you're like, how does something great come out of me being broken? But it goes back to Jeremiah 18. Like I said, I this was one of the messages I preached after coming out of my, or in the process of my healing. Let me say it like that. And God showed me the potter's hand, or the potter's house, where he took a broken vessel, or what they called a vessel back then, a jar, and they made it brand new. And when they say it was martyred, that means it was broken, it was cracked, it was mishandled, it was not basically usable. But because the potter knew how to use it and fix it up, he made it brand new like it was nothing. Didn't say he got brand new clay and made a new pot. He used the same material and made it brand new again. And that's what God wants to do in your healing process. The effect of your healing process is what? He's going to make you brand new again. He's going to take those broken places, those things that you've been dealing with, those strongholds that have tried to keep you bound, and he's going to shape them and make them into the rightful you, that you matter for his purpose and for his glory. All right. um Another quote I wanted to read on page 5, it says, um is it is human or fleshly nature to want to do without the effect or change of life that leads to the road of effect, the result of life. In other words, people don't want to live lives to change, but they do want the good result that comes from change happening in their lives. So let's talk about change for a second. Change can be very hard, right? Like I said, we have to change our mind from the negative. We have to change our programming, to take out all the things that people have said, or all the things that people have labeled us with, all the things that people have, like I said, kept us in a stronghold with. And we have to be able to break free. It's hard sometimes, because sometimes you have to stand alone. Sometimes you have to sit there and be the only one to say, I matter. I'm enough. I am not just a single mom. I'm a mom. That was one thing I can just say recently. God had to break me free, that there's not, we have to be careful with labels, that we're not keeping up with the world's way of being recognized, that you don't get caught up in that victim role of, like I said, that label of single mom. I'm a mom just like any other mom. I'm just doing it by myself. Does that mean I have to put single on the end? No, unless somebody out here trying to holler. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. But anyway, but the thing is that sometimes we pick up labels that are not good for us, and so I had to break myself free from a label that I am a mom just like any other mom, and I'm a good mom, and I don't need the single to make it extra, right? And so that's just, like I said, that's just an example. But going back to change, sometimes change is difficult. It can be, I mean, to be honest, I somewhat like change. I can't keep doing the same thing over and over. But when you have been used to doing something, or you're used to, like I said, playing the victim role, you're used to saying, "Whoa, it's me," or you're used to replaying that situation or those words in your head to cope with, or to deal with, or especially on a bad day. That's where I found the struggle to be for me when I was going through my healing process. It was on my bad days, because let's say I made a mistake at work, or I had a bad phone call, or whatever the case may be. Then now all of a sudden, the bad things that I've heard of myself in the past, or from other people, now they're playing in my head, and it just begins to build up. And then here I am, all of a sudden, once again, living in my stronghold of I'm not good enough. That should not happen. We should not continuously falling off, placing ourselves in those places again, because of the things that try to trigger and keep us in those broken areas of our lives, or in those low places of our lives. We have to be able to say, "No, not today, Satan." I know we say that jokingly, and we do that, the gifts and the quotes and all that stuff, but there is some truth to that. "Not today, Satan, not today. You're not going to allow me to go to a place that I don't need to go." Yes, I'm human just like everybody else, and life is going to continue to go on. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to hear the word no. I'm going to get some rejections, but that does not determine that I am not good enough. That I don't have to go all the way back there. I can still stand and say, "Okay, we'll just try better tomorrow." Oh, you know what? Let me just go take a moment. Let me go take a walk. Let me get back on my step. Whatever the case may be, there are other alternatives, and we have to be clear minded enough to hear God, see God, seek God, to be able to get, like I said, the understanding why. Because from that, you should begin to see, okay, how are my behaviors when certain things happen, when stressful things happen, or like I said, there's triggers to our tragedies, there's triggers to our traumas. What triggers you to go back to that place as a little girl, or that place as a young man, or even as a young adult, or that situation? What triggers you? And what those triggers are, you have to begin to fight. You have to begin to change, and to fight against that mindset, to fight against the way you react to it. um, Maybe we might have to do that for a book club. But the book that really helped me through that change was Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read it, you should definitely read that book. Okay. Not to continue to go on, but change is definitely going to be necessary, and you're going to have to fight through the change. But let me just tell you, girl, it's gonna be worth it, okay? Homie, it's gonna be worth it. All right. So then I share a little story about, or testimony, I shouldn't say story, it's a testimony, about how my son and his autism. I haven't really shared a lot about that on here on Tea Time, but I have a son who is 12 years old, who I love dearly, but he had some learning disabilities, and I thought they were just normal learning disabilities. As a young boy, we'll eventually get through it. But he had a tragedy at school, or an accident, excuse me, and let me stop using tragedy. But he had an accident at school, where a kid pushed him on the playground, and it cut the back of his head open. No one saw it, and no one reported it or anything. So he was going through this whole school day with this wounded head. And so it was nothing but the prayers of the righteous, amen. His praying mama and everybody else who praying for him as well, daily. That his teacher emailed me and was like, he fell asleep in class today. has he been sleeping well at home or what's going on? I was like, well, yeah, he's been fine. You want to check him and make sure he's not sick because that's not like him. He was very active. He's 6-year-old boy. He was very active. So that was, like I said, very unusual. So when she checked him, that's when she saw the cut. And so for him to, not react to a cut, because usually when kids are hurt, they scream and holler and help me, my head hurts, for him not to say anything that triggered something for me to say, something's wrong with my son. There's something deeper. And so we had to go through a lot of testing. And I think I shared it here in the book, and if not, I'm going to share it here now, is that, as they began to say, he has cognitive disability, and I was like, yo, what is that? And I started to do my own research, and I was like, okay, well, that's just a label you're putting on him, but what does he really have? What are we diagnosing him with? Because my thing is, I want your label so that I can start praying against it in a sense. I wasn't saying that I was rejecting what the doctors were saying, but sometimes when they speak stuff or when they say stuff, that you can take that to the Lord in prayer. That was really what my motive was with the label thing. Okay. But to continue on with the story, we still weren't getting any answers. They just said he had cognitive disability, some similarities or some circumstances to autism. And so we were signed up to just start therapy right away. And so I started going to, we went to therapy twice a week. He would do speech and what they would call occupational therapy. So through that, he was getting frustrated though. And he shut down because even at this time, my son was 6. I think he had a sense of what was going on and he didn't really understand. But me and him had a hard time communicating. I would ask him how was his day or what did you do. Some things we take for granted. If you're able to talk to your child, they can respond and so forth. I wasn't getting that with my son. And like I said, these were red flags for me, like, okay, something's not clicking, something's not right. And so I hated that because, like I said, with his incident, he wasn't able to communicate what happened. He wasn't able to communicate what happened to him. It scared me even as a young Black boy. If someone were to do something to him, would he be able to speak up? Would he be able to make sure he would be safe? And so like I said, thank God for a praying mama that I prayed hard and I prayed every day. And I thank God, like I said, this process started when he was 6, you all. Now he is 12. 6 years later, we are having telephone texting conversations. If I would have gave my son a text or a cell phone back then to even text me, there would be no words. So to see the growth and to see God do what he's doing in his life is such a testimony. And so, like I said, I say all this to say, to try to figure out his diagnosis. We kept going through tests and there was still never an answer. Every time we went, I was praying like, Lord, can I just get an answer? Lord, can I just get an answer? Lord, can I get an answer? But he would always make it to where there would be no answer. And it was the challenging for my faith. Why? Because I believe God has called me to be a worker in the vineyard in the kingdom of God with the gift of healing. And so, in order for me to operate in my gift, I have to go through some training. I have to go through some of my own experiences. And so this was just one of those with my son. And so I still trust and believe God and I see him doing it. No man can get the credit. And I thank God for that, that I have seen my son soar and slowly but surely he is becoming whole as he should. To hear his teachers say just within this last year he has improved, or he has leaped in improvements within 6 months time that would take kids normally 2 years. To see and to hear that, that shows that God has his hand in this, and I have to trust the process. So like I tell you, your healing may not be like everybody else's. Your testimony is definitely not going to be like everybody else's, but just know that God can do it. That is the reasoning for our testimony, to exercise our faith, to encourage each other in faith, to know that God can heal you. God can take your broken, bitter places, angry places, frustrating places, sad places, depressing places, and he can make you whole again. He can give you joy. He can give you happiness. He can give you peace of mind again. And he will give you even the opportunity to dream again. Because when you are overwhelmed by all this mess, who's dreaming? What are you reaching for? What are you seeking for? And so being able to be healed, to be able to be freed, I will be able to step into who I'm truly supposed to be. So you got to start somewhere, and that somewhere is learning why and start seeing the healing effect in your life. All right. So that is mostly chapter one. I don't want to give it all away, but I just want to end with a couple questions, or yeah, some of the study guide questions, since we did a lot of talking in these areas tonight, in these last 2 minutes, or a few minutes, excuse me. So one of the questions is, where is God lacking? Where is God's glory lacking in these places in your life? So the question is asking, where is God not getting the glory? Where are you not seeing God actually moving? Because, like I said, a lot of times we take these things as face value. We look at it as, I'm a divorcee, I'm um, overweight, I'm old, I've gone through this situation, that situation, whatever the case may be, right? But that is not giving God the glory. So where can he get the glory? But where are we lacking? So it's not to like I said, point out the negative, but we got to get to the root of the problem. So figuring out where is God's glory lacking in your life, where in those circumstances, and you just began to list those, right? So think about that for a moment. Where even today, it necessarily doesn't have to be trauma. You could just be trying to grow in God. What can I say and look at more rather than what it is? I can be very transparent, that God has been challenging me to speak up, to speak up like Esther, in a sense, to actually relate to something, because without Esther speaking up for the behalf of the Jews, who would have spoke up? What would have truly happened to them? They would have died and they would have perished. And God has definitely been challenging me to speak up. He has my back. You're okay. You should not be afraid, because why? This Bible says we do not walk in the spirit of fear, but in love and power and of a sound mind. So I have to walk in that. So where am I lacking sometimes when I come into situations, because I hate confrontation. I don't want nobody to feel bad. I don't want nobody to look at me, and say, "Oh, she told me," and it's just a bad situation. Like, in my mind, that's what it seems like, right? But sometimes correction is okay, and it doesn't necessarily have to come off, letting somebody know where to get on and where to get off. You can do it tastefully, and still demand the authority or the respect that you're looking for, right? And so, that's my challenge. So where is God lacking the glory? I have to stop being afraid, because he's not giving me the spirit of fear. So I have to change that mindset. I have to change the way it looks for my human nature, and see the spiritual nature of what God is trying to grow me in. All right. So then let's go to one more question here. Um, Oh, this one. We'll end on this one since we didn't get to yes, correction definitely makes us grow. So this last question, it says, what situations are you asking why? Since that was the title of chapter one, what situations have you been questioning God why? What is what are those situations? What are you asking? Well, why am I here, God? Or why do I have to go through this? If you're willing to share, you can definitely share here in the comments. But what that is another thing that you can think about. What are some of the things that you have been questioning why? I can have another transparent moment if you want me to. So my whys have been um, I've been waiting for God to do some things. I'm going to keep it this way, okay? I've been praying and asking God for a lot of things, but there are two specific things that I've been asking God to really do, and it has been a very long wait for me. And I'm saying years in this, and so. I'm trying to get an understanding, but slowly and surely, I'm not going to sit here in front. God has definitely given me the why. He is definitely showing me some of the things that He had to take out of me. Because even along with those requests or what I've been petitioning God and seeking God and praying without ceasing about, there was also some other things I wanted to be in connection to or produce out of myself. And so God has allowed that to happen. And so I see the steps in the order that He is building me for. And so I'm beginning to understand the why, but I have definitely been asking God still, where are we at? Where are we going? How close are we? I'm still believing, I'm still trusting, because sometimes even in our why and in hearing the request or the response back from God, it is the patience, and we'll have to get into that next week, of waiting and trying to understand the process that can be challenging to our faith. I wouldn't say it should cause us not to lose our faith, but challenging our faith. So that is all I have though tonight on healing effect. Like I said, we went through chapter one. Hopefully next week we'll get through chapter two and three. So if you have your book and you want to join along in the discussion and make some comments, definitely read up to at least chapter three next week. We'll hopefully get into those good topics or those good chapters. Just to let you know what those chapters are called. Um, it's breaking the rules. I think that's probably one of my favorite chapters out of my book. So we might just get through chapter two next week, but chapter two is called Breaking the Rules. And then the third chapter is called Afflictions Produce Purpose. All right. So stay tuned for some more quotes that I'll be posting throughout the week. And just let somebody know that you love them, encourage them in some shape or form, and just spread the love of God. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all for your comments and your encouragements. That is definitely shout out to all of you. I see you, Miss Lanita, and Tamika and Faith. Hey, you all. I see you all commenting earlier. And Miss Melanie, I seen you too, Coco. Let's see. I don't think I see anybody else anyway, but nevertheless, thank you all once again, and shout out to you replay players for tuning in on the replay. So we will see you next Tuesday. God bless and have a good night.